Right, okay, guys. You've seen the title. Welcome to volume number 2 of whatever the hell we call this. I was going to swear there, but no doubt Lukozer is going to swear within the first 30 seconds.
Yeah, I'll make up for it. Don't worry.
And it means I can't monetize the fucking thing. So there you go.
Well, you just killed it there, so you can't blame me for it now.
So yeah, like I said, you've seen the title. This was a video we put out the first edition of this. When was it? About 2-3 weeks ago. I can't remember when it was.
Yeah, it's got to be something like that. Yeah,
something like that, and it's proved rather popular. I mean, I don't think there's many videos like this on YouTube. I mean, you get a lot of people will put out like demos. They'll record a demo, or not. They'll not record it. They'll just play a demo and they'll not talk over it. But I think what I think people like about what we're doing is we're each picking favourite SID tunes, and then we're talking about why we like it. And I think it's an opportunity for people to actually listen to SID music. I mean, there's obviously lots of people that do, but I think I think the format seems to kind of sit pretty well with people.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I think that last one that we did, well, the first one we did, that's the best collaboration video I've done. So yeah, it's certainly doing something right as far as I'm concerned.
Your 9 collaborations, you cheeky bugger.
Eh?
That doesn't say much for your collaboration. Or was it a close second? Was it or a close?
Yeah, it was a close second. Yeah.
I don't want to take credit, but the only difference was me. So
yeah, there you go.
So yeah, it's going to be the same format. Lukozer, well, it's Chris, but Lukozer, Panther, and myself, we've all picked now. But I'll be right in thinking they're not necessarily a year. We've each picked another 5 SID tunes, and we're going to. What we'll do is we'll play them. We'll play one, and then we'll talk about why we like it, and then we'll get this sort of feedback from the other 2 that didn't pick it. If that makes any sense. There's obviously a chance that we may have picked the same tunes, but that doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I think actually the risk of us picking the same ones is even less this time around than it was the first time. I've done mine where, well, I've basically chosen 5 different musicians to the 5 that I did last time around. And in fact, the 5 I've got, none of their music appeared at all in the last video. So
that's good.
It's certainly something different from me this time.
Yeah, the one thing that I want to point out, I mean, we spoke about it before we started recording this video. I only had a C64 from 1983 to about mid-1987, and for probably the first year from 1983, I don't think there was any reputable SID tunes. I don't think they were even a thing back then, were they?
In 83, probably not. No,
and it was probably shit. You know, I mean, there were a lot of games didn't actually have music. And if it was going to be Green Sleeves, and then you've got that annoying death bloody tune that they always play when you lose a life.
Oh yes, the funeral march.
It was all classical, or else it was Jean-Michel Jarre, and that was about there was really no such thing as original music that I can think of, sort of for the first kind of year.
No, certainly not 82 and 83. No,
yeah.
84. Some came along. One of mine's from 84, so yeah, that was, I guess, the year where it really did start.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, my collect. I don't want to give anything away, but the 5 that I've picked, my sort of like experience of SID tunes is over a fairly short period of time. It's probably like the golden era, I would say, the Rob Hubbard time. I know yourself, Panther. You've kind of been exposed to SID tunes for a lot longer than myself.
Yeah, I mean, I've even read them on floppy disks when I had my Amiga. I've had the high voltage SID collection on a PC, and with the advent of smartphones and apps, I've probably had, for at least the last 7 or 8 years, I've had the entirety of it in my pocket. And every time they update it, I just copy the new files in and I update it. So I don't think I've ever been without SID tunes since 1986 when I've got my 64. And I only really had the 64 as my main computer for about a year and a half, and then I got an ST, and on that I had a disc called the Big Demo, and used to put that in, and it had like Sanction, and it had a few of Rob Hubbard's. I used to play the music from that, and then when I got my Amiga, which would have been about 1991, 92-ish, I think, maybe a bit earlier. No, actually, I think it was 1990, tell a lie. I managed to get discs off someone that had a what would end up to becoming SID player, and then 4 discs had like loads and loads of SID tunes on it. So I've kind of gone with it as the technology's changed. I've just moved the SIDs across, and now I've got the entire high voltage SID collection on an SD card behind me in the back of that 64 as well. So I think I've got them. Everything I've got that's electronic has got SIDs on it. I can't help it. I'm addicted.
So how, for people that maybe don't know, the high voltage SID collection is basically, it's like an archive of virtually every SID tune. Is that kind of how it works?
Yeah, pretty much every SID tune, unless someone has created some special ones and they're not on there yet, and they're like kind of held back until everyone that's paid for a release has got it. But yeah, even like some of the latest games they bring out, when they update the high voltage SID collection, them tunes will get added and then things will get changed. When I was recording one of my SID Effects albums, I recorded one of Thomas DeTurt's songs and I sent it to him. Said, "What do you think of this? Sounds wicked in stereo." And he's like, "Oh, hang on, all the bass sweeps and all the filters are wrong." And I was like, "Well, I've just recorded that off my 64." So I recorded it again from the game. I loaded up the game and recorded it from that, and I sent it to him. He goes, "Yeah, that's right. What did you do?" I said, "Well, I loaded the game." So he contacted whoever it was to do the high voltage SID collection, and they've done a re-rip, and now that's been changed. I think that's the music to one of the tunes from Klystron, and they've changed that now. So now when you play it in SID Play, they've got the channels round the right way.
Sounds, yeah.
So that's how it goes.
see one thing just before we kind of get into the actual meat and bones of the video. See, you talk about like filters, and there's different. Was there different versions of the synth chip?
Well, there is. You've got the 6581 in the bread bin, and you've got the 8580 that was in the 128 and the 64C. But then you've got the original 6581, the R2, the R3, the 6581 AR, R4, like the enhanced resolution one or advanced resolution. And then on top of that, because they're analog inside, and they're part analog, the chips, that can vary in between each and every SID chip. And then you've got the capacitors on the motherboard, and if one of them, they've got tolerances on them, like all engineering things have a tolerance on. So one capacitor could be sort of like 0.0005 difference to that capacitor, and that will change the sound of the chips. It's no two SID chips sound the same. That's what I've always told. Mine seem to, but I get what people say. I've got one Commodore here that the chip sounds beautiful, but if I play Terra Cresta through it doesn't sound quite so good on the filters at the top end, which is different to all the other ones. But there's nothing wrong with that SID chip, because my go-to song to test chips is the Sanction loading music, because in the middle of that, Rob Hubbard programmed a dual lead sound. It's like a long whiny sound, and because of the way he's done it, if you've got a knackered SID chip, you can really tell from that bit. It's not really science, it's just ear holes and familiarity. Believe me, I send all my Commodores off to be fixed to a mate of mine if they're broke. I can't, other than swapping chips, I don't really know what I'm doing.
That kind of confuses it. Most of what you explained to me is just going right over my head. I always think of a computer chip as a computer chip, and they're all exactly the same. You do hear people talking about saying what you're saying there, Chris, about a SID tune will sound different on like 10 different Commodore 64s. So potentially the machine that any programmer programs the tune on, that's going to be how they want it to sound. And technically there's a possibility that when I play it in mine or you play it in yours, it's not going to sound as good as like Martin Galway programmed it.
Well, I've got a collection here called Project Galway. I'm trying to think it was recorded. I don't know if it was. It might have been Alistair Bowness, a guy that does a radio station. He's quite involved with C64 audio. I think he used it. He had Martin Galway's computer, and he was able to record all of Martin Galway's stuff off of Martin Galway's Commodore. I can't remember if it was a 64 or 128 that he jiggered around with the chips and that, but it was Martin Galway. So that collection is exactly how they should sound because they were off the computer they were programmed on.
That's insane. That's insane. So how accurate would you say is the SID player? How accurate would you say compared to?
For 6581, a lot of it is fairly accurate. Sometimes Ghosts and Goblins can sound a bit out with the strange sort of sound effect drum beats it's got going on it. But a lot of the 8580 stuff that they use in demos and that, a lot of that, it still sounds good. But if you've heard it and you've got used to it on real hardware, it just sounds off, if you know what I mean. Like, mate, I'm trying to think how I could explain it.
One of my choices in my list is going to be quite a good illustration of that. The SID play version to me sounds noticeably different to how it used to sound back in the day when I was listening to it on the game. So yeah, there is an example of it coming up, or at least one example of it coming up.
But then our recordings are going to be from my 64.
That's true. So yeah, yours might actually improve it, get it sounding much more like it did when I was playing it. So yeah, we'll see what happens about that one.
It's interesting that, I mean, hi-fi and music in general, there's always purists, you know. I mean, my mate back in the day, he would pay like, you know, £100 for a fucking, well, I was going to say a SCART cable. He would pay like lots and lots of money for like audio cables, whereas I would go to Asda and buy them for $6.99. But, you know, I suppose you always get the purists, and it's the same with the SID. That's how serious that some people take SID music. You know what I mean? It's
Well, I wouldn't put my albums out. I only record off real hardware for them because that's the point of them.
yeah.
But the sound in my pocket, unless I've got my own recordings on there, that's emulated. If I want to play Commodore 64 games now, so I'm sitting in front of a little 14-inch monitor behind me here. I've got a 47-inch telly up there. I've got a C64 Mini, and I've got the full size. It sounds good enough for me. I know it's not the real thing. I'd never say it was the real thing, but who cares? As long as you can play the games, it's still silky smooth. At 50, it runs at 50 hertz. I don't give a toss. I'd rather use a gamepad than a joystick anyway.
Yeah, that's my thoughts entirely. Anyway, enough of this waffle. I think we should get going. Listen, we'll change the order. I'll go last this time. So we'll start at the top. Mr. Lukozer, do you want to go for number one?
Okay, right. All right. Well, again, I'll do mine in just random order. So I'll get my first one. It's the one that isn't from a game. All the rest will be. So we had one of the maniacs of noise in the last video. So this time we'll have another one. So this is Charles Deenan. I'm sure I've just annihilated the pronunciation of his name. This could.
I just need to find out. What's it called?
Charles Deenan is the musician. In a way, this could have actually been included in the game because there was a game of this title. It's a game based on the television program. This is his version of the theme from Airwolf. Well, first of all, I think the Airwolf theme is a decent piece of music to start with. So, having a 64 doing a fucking decent rendition of it, yeah, that was always going to be a winner. I don't think Charles Dean actually did a hell of a lot of actual music writing. I think most of the time he was a bit behind the scenes. He was more of a coder or programmer or something. So there isn't a huge amount of his music out there. Certainly nothing like as prolific as Your Own Tell or anything. But what I have heard of his stuff, I've been impressed with it, all the time. So going through a list of his, I was quite keen on getting one of his down on this list. And yeah, the Airwolf one is quite different to most of the other stuff I've heard of his. It's more contemporary. If you ever hear his music that he did for the title page for Unreal on the Amiga, that to me sounds more like a typical sort of Chaldina thing, only with everything turned up to 11. I think that is fantastic music. So yeah, this one is a bit different to his style that I'm familiar with, but yeah, it's just a great version of what was already a great tune.
Yeah, it's not a particularly long tune, but I was actually playing Airwolf on a video last week, and
it was that video that reminded me of this.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of almost like film TV quality. It's been padded out. There's a lot of stuff going on under the bonnet. It is a very impressive.
Yeah, I think the percussion sound in particular sounds fantastic. I think it was Charles Dean who wrote the drivers that all of Maniacs of Noise used, but yeah, I'm open to correction on that one. I would imagine Your Own Tell had his own, but well, I may not know, but I think someone below me here might do.
I wouldn't count on that, mate.
Oh, okay.
You've let us all down.
Well, I know. JT has used Chris Hulsbeck's sound monitor, and I think he's used his own stuff. I've not really ever gone into the mechanics of it like that, but that was a cracking version of the tune. It's much better than the one that was on the original game.
Yeah.
Quite a considerable amount. I've recorded one of his tunes on one of my albums on the SIDS and Sorcery album when I did all like the fantasy music and that.
The Zamzara tune, was it?
No, I did his unreleased Lord of the Rings because the game went.
Oh, right, yes, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm aware of Mr. Deanan's work, and yeah, he's one of the founding members of the Maniacs of Noise.
Good stuff. Right, moving on. PantherUK. Oops, a daisy. Almost fallen off my chair there. In fifth place, what is it going to be?
Number 5 for me. But I was talking about like doing some newer SIDs and stuff like that. So this one is from 2018, and I don't know how long it had been in the pipeline, unfinished, but this is a tune called Pacific, which is a newish one by Rob Hubbard. They managed to, with the Project Hubbard, Jason Page and Chris Abbott managed to convince him to touch a 64 again. So he had to rediscover how to use all his drivers and find his bits of code and that. And they made a I think there was 15. There was an album called Alt SIDS within that Project Hubbard, and this is the one I really like on there called Pacific.
I'm looking forward to that. A new Rob Hubbard track. That's always going to be something a bit special. Right, let's go.
There you go.
Impressive. Very distinctive Rob Hubbard, isn't it?
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
he certainly hasn't lost it, that's for sure.
No, I mean he's obviously he's using what he's always used to do it. So you know, you could hear that and you'd think to yourself, hang on, that sounds a lot like Rob Hubbard, because it does. He's
Yeah, within the first 3 seconds, you know who it is who's done this one.
And I mean, I because that one's not in the high voltage SID collection, and it was for backers. I've actually asked and got permission for us to play that, so you ain't going to get flagged up for it. Let's put it that way.
No, very, very impressive. Very impressive.
Yeah, it's nice to hear him. You know, still being able to do it, because he's done a lot of like the orchestra stuff and that. For him to be able to still knock out SIDs as well, you know, and I think I'm pretty sure, I can't remember if it was 13 or 15, like new ones, and they're all very Rob Hubbard. You know, they range from all the different sort of styles that he's had over the years, but that's the one that I thought fit within what I was trying to think of when I was trying to think of the song to choose.
Mm-hmm. It's funny, when I was going through trying to pick my kind of 5, I was going through different musicians. I wanted to give each musician a fair crack of the whip. And every single musician has got his own distinctive sound. Very, 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 very clear. No, that's great. Mine's is, like I said, mine's is going to be a lot more cliched than your guys. I mean, you've picked some, modern stuff, whereas mine's are all sort of back in the kind of golden age. So sticking with Mr. Hubbard, I couldn't not have this one. It's the Last V8, which you might be familiar with.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I mean, we're talking about this last video, Lukozer. I mean, it was a. I wouldn't say it's a shit. Well, it is a shit game because it's utterly.
It is a shit game, yeah.
utterly impossible to play. And I don't think I actually ever really listened. I've never actually listened to that right through until probably the last few years.
Well, the game doesn't give you the chance to listen to the whole thing. I mean, he's made a SID there that's about 3 minutes long or something. In the game, unless you're playing the Commodore 128 version, no level gives you anywhere near long enough to be able to actually listen to the music all the way through. You get like that the first.
Level.
Sorry?
Does it actually restart every level?
Yeah.
Really?
So in the Commodore 128 version, the first level is completely different, and it's a slightly more open world. So you do get the chance to actually hear a lot more of the tune if you can last long enough. But yeah, the other levels, you got that very short sort of time limit, so you haven't got the chance to hear that. That is actually the first time I've ever heard that piece all the way through.
What do you think it?
Oh, yeah, it's great, yeah. You can't knock that one.
Aye. I mean, it's got one of the best starts to any tune. It just grabs you by the balls at the very start.
Oh, it's a brilliant piece of music. I've been I've been watching a lot of Lukozer's retro game reviews, and I watched that and Red Max kind of back to back. Literally, have you had loads of random likes come up on your old videos? If you have, that's me. I'm literally holding my sides, dying when he goes off on a rant. Someone swearing and losing their shit is gold to me. I have to pause these videos, stop laughing, and then carry on. So yeah, as soon as you said it's the last V8, I could almost read Chris's mind. Yeah, if ever there was a game to load it up and not bother with the game and play the music, that's one of them. But you very rarely got a chance. I never had a 128, so.
I notice you've been swearing quite a bit more, and that's because you've been watching that bloody bugger's videos.
Yeah, that's it. I'm a bad influence, aren't I?
Actually, I came across a link online, and it was like recommended retro video game websites, and they had a list, and then they had adult-rated ones, and yours was one of them.
Okay, I'm not aware of this list. So.
There you go.
Well, you could be on worse lists, mate.
Fantastic. So yeah, that's an epic one for me to start off with. So over to Mr. L, you're number 4.
Right, number 4 then. Right, well, you're saying about yours maybe will be cliched. All of mine now are, I think, going to be pretty well known. So for this one, we'll go with a musician who never got a mention last time and hasn't been mentioned at all until now, despite the fact that he is the most prolific Commodore 64 and Amiga musician of the lot, which should give you a pretty big hint that it is David Whittaker. And this is the in-game music for Stormbringer.
Excellent stuff.
First time I've heard that one. Is that a game?
Yeah. Stormbringer was the third of the Magic Knight trilogy.
No,
Although I think on the Commodore 64, it either came out before or at the same time as Night Time. Fucking Night Rider.
I like the use of the sort of like a whistly, whiny instrument.
Well, I
Like
don't know if it's just my imagination, but to me, I can hear bits of that, and I think he used parts of it into what became the music in Menace. I don't know if either of you can hear it. To me, there are bits there, and I think, yeah, I can hear where that later became the music in Menace, especially the Amiga version, which of course he did. So.
Is Menace not like ding 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 ding? It's like can he bass guitar?
Well, yeah, it's more guitar based. Yeah. Ignore the actual instruments used. Just listen to the actual melody part. And I mean, like I say, it could just be me, but to me, it sounds like that's what it became. So, I mean, the thing I like about David Whittaker is, okay, he's not the most technically gifted. I mean, he's not up there with your Rob Hubbards and your Galways and what have you. But the thing is, he'll be one of the first people to say that himself. There is no ego with the bloke at all. That's the sort of thing I like. It's another reason why I also like Fred Gray. But I think a lot of his music is underrated. I'll freely admit a lot of his music is pretty forgettable, but this one I just think really does stand out. That is definitely my favourite piece that he did on the 64.
Was there not a track that he used, was it Lazy Jones, that actually was picked up and it became a kind of dance?
Yes, it's a bit of an infamous story when that one is. Isn't that the lot who then tried to sue him for using it, even though he actually used it first? He was the guy who created the bloody thing. So yeah, there was a lot of palaver over that.
Yeah, I like David Whittaker's stuff. I think the other good thing about David Whittaker is the way he used the SID chip. It transferred well across to the AY chip for the Amstrad and the Specky 128. So a lot of his music, particularly Glider Rider, there's not a lot of difference between the SID version and the AY version of that game.
Yeah, and that's another great tune as well, the Glider Rider music.
Well, my favourite Whittaker track is actually the in-game music to Panther. Nothing to do with my name or anything like that. I just think it's a really good, especially the way I've got it set up here. When the bass comes in on that, it is a proper bass drop. So if anyone invented the bass drop, it was David Whittaker.
No, nice track. So that is Lukozer's number 4, and back down to PantherUK. What is your number 4?
Right, my number 4, and the reason that I've picked this, a very small story to it. Firstly, I think it was your subscriber Colin Jones was saying on a live stream that it'd be nice to have some music from demos. So I said noted. So this is the music from a demo, and the song's called Alone, and it's from the Atlantis Honey demo that was out in 2018. And this is by a guy called Sammy Sept, and he goes by the handle of Rock. And the reason I picked this one was when I dug all the 64s back out and I got all the disk drives going, I bought one of the little doodad Zoom floppies so I can actually connect my 1541s to a PC and write Commodore discs. And this demo was the first demo I wrote to disk. And I also put this as a D64 onto my C64 Mini, and I recorded it. I didn't tell anyone what it was. I recorded it. And one of the coders of that demo said, "Oh, that sounds really nice." And I was like, "That's on a 64 Mini." He's like, "No way." I went, "Yeah, that's on a C64 Mini." He said, "We was told that it couldn't emulate the sound like that for the samples, but it has." I went, "Well, it's probably a better device than you've been led to believe then." So that's why I chose this track, because it was the first demo I played when I got back into the 64 thing again.
Nice one. Okay, let's go.
There you go.
Nice. What do you think, Mr. L?
Yeah, not bad at all. I'm not familiar with very many C64 demos, so yeah, that's very new to me. But yeah, not bad at all.
What I like about that is I think sometimes you find with SID tunes is they try so many different effects. And it's just like a banquet of effects. They're throwing all these different noises in to try and make it sound technically impressive. And they maybe don't have good tunes, but that is actually a nice tune. They don't. It's quite simple, and it is actually a nice. It's a nice track to listen to.
Yeah, I think with that one, what makes it work so well is its simplicity. They haven't fallen into the trap of trying too hard and trying to put too much into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think pretty much all the stuff I've picked tonight is I haven't gone for overly technical stuff. I've gone for stuff that I think is actually a good piece of music as opposed to listen what they can do now.
Yeah. I
know, like obviously, like we've discussed, I've listened to a lot more of the recent stuff than perhaps you two have, and there is a lot of stuff that is like, look what we can do. Not everyone's like that. Some people chuck everything at it and it turns up roses. But I think most of mine are like that tonight. I went for style over substance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean a couple of mine that I didn't include. They're my favourite SID tunes, and it's based on somebody else's work, so I didn't include them because that would be kind of a bit unfair. But yeah, I mean that was always a completely original tune, really, really nice. Well, mine's is back to again a really, really well-known piece of music. I'll tell you why I like it once we've listened to it. Turn this up, and it is the theme track. It's by Martin Galway, and it's a theme tune to Hypersports. For me, the reason I like that is, and I've actually just after about 30 seconds, I realised I've been talking absolute pish because I've just picked a track that he did not. It was based on a famous piece of music.
Yeah.
It's probably a bit of nostalgia for me because my dad and I used to love watching athletics. We went to see Chariots of Fire in the cinema, and we both loved it. It's one of my favourite, probably my top 3 favourite films, and I just think it's a beautiful rendition. And I can still remember loading up the game on the C64, and this piece of music just burst out my TV, and I was like, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. He's really replicated it so well, and I remember getting my dad into the bedroom and listening to this, and I just think it's absolutely incredible. It's one of the best cover sort of versions of an original classical piece. I think Martin Galway has absolutely knocked it out of the park.
Right, who's going first out of me or Panther when it comes to commenting on this one?
I think you better go first because I think mine's going to be more positive than yours by the sound of it.
Yeah, I got to admit, I am not a fan of this one. The problem I have with it is, yes, it is a great rendition of the Vangelis piece.
You scared him off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it is a good rendition of the Vangelis piece. I just don't think it fits the game at all. The game is sort of a cartoony, sort of, arcadey, it's not taking itself all that seriously. And to me, the music is taking it too seriously, and I don't think the combination really works. So I'm not saying it's a terrible piece of music. It's not. It's a fantastic rendition of a piece of music, which, to be honest, I'm not a big fan of anyway. But I just don't think it suits the game. So for that, it's always sort of put me off it a bit.
Yeah,
controversial one out of the way there. There we go.
Yeah, totally. It's maybe not the best place for the game. What do you think, Panther?
Oh, I think it's a great rendition. That was one of the day one listens. The day I heard Crazy Comets and all the other loads of different games my mate played me. That was one of the first pieces I heard. So that I really like that piece of music. I understand what Chris, like the Lukozer's saying about it not fitting the game. I mean, it might have been better just for a marathon running game or something. A game where you've got to wiggle the joystick to beat.
For 26 miles. Yeah.
But no, I really like it. I've never really thought of it as sticking out, as not fitting the game. I get what he says, but it was one of those early listens that helped sell me the 64. So I kind of agree and disagree with him. How diplomatic's that?
Yeah. Style defence there. Though.
I think Lukozer had Marcel Donnet done a thing called SIDology, and
I've got that. Yeah,
he done a version of that. I can't. It's called is it Chariots of Galway or something? It's called. What
can soon find out. Let's bring up my Winamp because I'm one of the few people who still uses Winamp.
I use Winamp as well.
Okay, right. SIDology. I can't see it.
It might be Chariots of Sid. Actually, I can't remember.
Is that a Sid tune?
No, it's not. While he's listening, while he's looking, what Marcel did, he's done loads of songs done on synthesizers, surround sound and that of SIDs and that. And what he did was for that, he played Martin Galway's version of Chariots of Fire, but he played it on the instruments that Vangelis would have used. So it sounds like the original, but it's played the same way as Martin Galway played it.
And was it quite similar to the original piece then?
Well, it sounds instrumentally. It sounds like the one that was in the film, but the composure of it, the way it's put together, is Martin Galway's version. So it's Martin Galway's version played how Vangelis would play it. It's pretty cool.
I'll need to look for that.
Yeah, unless my track listing is out, I'm not seeing it here. I've got SIDology Disc 1, Disc 2, Sidology intro, Rambo Loader, Light Force, Bombo, Cobra, Yeah Kung Fu 2, Knuckle Busters, Whizball High Score, Miami Vice in Game, Nemesis the Warlock, Rambo High Score, Rambo Loader again. Arcanoid High Score, we're on to Disc 2, Arcanoid High Score, Microprose Soccer, Miami Vice in Game, Game Over, Magnetic Fields 4.
On the disc Chariots of Sid. I don't know if you've got the multi-disc version or just a list of tracks.
Yeah, I just got lists of tracks, but yeah, there's nothing there that's Chariots of Sid or anything like that.
Chariots of Hypersports is actually called. Now I look at it.
No, it's not there. So
I'll play it to you later.
Okay.
Right, brilliant. That was my number 4. So back to Mr. L, and it's your number 3.
Right, okay. For this one, right, this is from 1989. This is taken from a game, an arcade conversion that should never have been even considered, let alone attempted.
Hard driving.
There's no easy way of putting it. It's Galaxy Force. Now, everyone connected with this game had an impossible task, including Martin Walker, who came up with the soundtrack, but he certainly made the best of a bad job. And this particular piece is called Take Back, which on the SID file, this is song 6. I mean, it's such a short loop, I actually left it so that you could hear it twice.
Yeah.
But, I mean, when it comes to the coin-op original, I mean, I'm a big fan of the game, but I'm a huge fan of the soundtrack, and the main reason being I love the slap bass in it. And obviously, you're not going to recreate that slap bass sound on a 64. Well, I don't think anyone's going to be able to do it. I'm amazed Martin Walker basically didn't say, look, if you want me to do this, you know, you're having a fucking laugh at you. But he sort of had a stab at it. He instead of trying to do the entire soundtrack, because that piece in the coin-op original goes on for much longer. Here he's just like loops, I think, like the first, I'd say, however, I don't think it's even a minute of it. But, I mean, compared to everything else in the game, it's the only thing where they've even got even close to having, you know, a decent stab at copying the original. I mean, who the hell actually thought, Oh yes, converting Galaxy Force to the Commodore 64. That's a great idea. Yeah, we'll do that. You know. So the interesting thing is that particular SID file is 21K. So it makes you wonder, you know, how much memory or how much resources did they leave to actually code the visuals and the actual gameplay of this fucking conversion if 21K of it is taken up with, you know, just the music. So it's almost as if by seeing that, you can almost see, well, that everyone else involved with it just basically gave up from the word go. But yeah, the music is great. I freely admit it's not the best music that Martin Walker has ever done. I suspect most people would probably say it's something like Armalite. But that one stands out for me because, well, firstly, that's the best piece on the C64 version of Galaxy Force. But the fact that he even attempted to recreate that soundtrack, you know, you got to give him some sort of credit for doing that.
Was he not generally regarded as like a programmer rather than a musician? Did he not program?
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's the same Martin Walker who did
Hunter's Moon.
Hunter's Moon. Yeah, I don't know if it's the same bloke. I would imagine it probably is, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But I think he did a bit of everything, really. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's as you say, it's very, very short, but it's more like it's like an attract mode music. You know, it's quite a short. It's to grab you in, and what little there is very, very impressive.
To be honest with you, when I chose it, I didn't realise just how short it was. That could be the shortest of all the tracks within that particular soundtrack. I think there's 7 in total on there. Yeah, I actually think he's had a pretty good stab at all of them, but that is the one that stands out for me.
No,
Yeah,
what do you think of Panther?
Yeah, I like Martin Walker's stuff, like Chris mentioned, Armalite and that. He's another one that's got he's got a particular sound. You can tell it's Martin Walker. Yeah. With regards to slap bass, I think the only Commodore 64 musician that can really do slap bass well is Jaron Tell. But that's probably because one of his musical heroes is Mark King from Level 42.
Oh, that would explain a lot, yeah.
That's how you can play a bass, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that. That's pretty cool. I like. I find that a lot of Martin Walker's tracks, rather than instruments, are made from like sound effects turned into instruments. I like the way he does it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice. Right, on that bombshell, Mr. Panther, you're number 3.
Right, my number 3 is from 2015, and I'll talk a bit about the guy afterwards. But this is a song called "Second" by Jason Page. There you go.
Got it.
Well, that's one that I was actually familiar with, so I'm quite chuffed about that.
All right.
That was absolutely fantastic.
Well, the thing with
Brilliant.
Jason is, I mean, Jason, he's he's done like I think he's just done the Lords of Dragon Spire for Cytronic Software. So he does like games. He worked for Graph Gold back in the day. And what he's been doing, from what I can make out, he's been experimenting with the SID and seeing what he can get it to do and what he can't get it to do. Now that 1 second is called second for a reason, because that's the second one. I think he's up to 12th now. There's a demo that's on YouTube that's got loads of like flashing like Marilyn Monroe and Keith Flint and Einstein type stuff while this mad dance music's going on. But I picked that one because I just think it's got a really good tune to it, and it's fun. If you listen to first, second, third, fourth, if you go through it, you can listen to him experimenting the stuff and adding things here and there. And the reason I was talking about him and his experiments is because there's a bonus track in there that I sent you as well. That obviously, Alan, you've seen what it is now, so don't say anything. I was going to sort of surprise you with it, but I left the tags on like a wally. I don't know. What did you think of that one?
Me?
Yeah,
I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I love the bass. I love the bass that he's got running throughout it. And I was really impressed about midway through. The sound starts going from left to right.
Yeah, that's more my doing, Jason's. But yeah,
is that your doing? Is it?
Yeah, that's.
Well, you get credit then.
That's the two SID chips doing that.
Yeah, that's opened it up. You know, you might have made it better than it originally sounded. But that was damned impressive. I really like that. I like that a lot.
Well, yeah. Well, the culmination of all his experimentation of what he's trying to do is shown kind of in the other track that I sent you. So if you want to back that one out.
Have you any idea what he's going to call his 15th track?
No, it's beyond me, mate.
Maybe 16 or something, possibly. Don't know. That's probably my favourite bit so far. I think that was really impressive. Back to me now, I think.
How about the bonus track?
Oh, do you want the bonus track just now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go for that then. Right, okay, well, I'll let you introduce it then, eh?
I'm not gonna introduce it because you're gonna see the title when it comes up. I'm gonna see what Lukozer. I'm gonna watch Lukozer's expression to see what he thinks of it.
Right. Okay. Here we go.
That's how you make a SID chip sound like a Paula chip.
I was just going to say, I just double checked. That was a 64.
Yeah. That's Jason Page. He's a bit of a wizard with experimentation. He's a good musician as well. If I've got anything wrong about him, then I'll apologise now, because I'll send him the link to this video anyway, seeing as I've managed to squeeze in 2 of his tracks. But it's because you uploaded that music recently.
Yeah.
Alan played the game on one of his recent live streams. When I was choosing his songs, I thought, hang on, Jason's version of Hybris is brilliant. And when I played it again, I was like, oh, I've got to try and put that in as well. I'll try and sneak it in as a bonus track. It's really,
Well,
that was 64, mate.
There was a comment on the video that I uploaded of the Amiga version of that, and they were saying that when they first heard it, they thought it was a chip tune. And I was going to write a reply to it saying, listen to the hi-hat and the snare drum sound. The 64 can't do it as well as that. Clearly I was wrong. I've never heard percussion sound like that from a 64 before. That is just unbelievable.
Yeah, that's what he's been experimenting with, was trying to use all the different tricks and that he's got to make the percussion sound like real percussion, and he's kind of got there with that.
Yeah, I'd say yes.
I was going to ask the same question. Have you sneaked in an Amiga track into that? Because I'll be honest, if you let me hear that, a minute of that, and says what tune's that for, I would say that's Amiga Hybris. I would have thought. But I mean, Amiga Hybris, I love the game. A huge part down to how amazing the music is on the Amiga, and the fact that he's managed to make a C64 sing like an Amiga. Absolute hats off to the guy.
Well, yeah, thanks for indulging me and letting me have an extra one for that.
Yeah. No, absolutely fantastic. That was worth listening to.
Yeah.
Super. I did find the volume button in the Winamp, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Narrowed down. It's just a wee tiny wee bar. I thought I don't want to fucking click on it in case I close it down. So yeah, so I was able to turn it up a wee bit. Right, down to myself now. This will be my number 3, I think it is, or my 3rd place one. And again,
or your 2nd place one. Oh, hang on, no, that's right. You're going last, aren't you?
Yeah, 3rd place one. And again, it's a well-known one, and I have actually managed to move away from the 2 that I tend to stick to, and it's by Mr. Tim Fallon, and it's Ghouls and Ghosts. Yeah, unfortunately, some of that's quite low at the middle. You might have not been able to hear it properly, but obviously by the time we overlay, everyone else will be able to hear it. But Yeah, for me, I just think it's not so much a track I would listen to in the car, but for the game type. I mean, the yin and yang from Chariots of Fire being inappropriate, that you could not get a better sounding track for a game called Ghouls and Ghosts. I mean, the
Yeah.
thunder, the heartbeat,
That
amazing.
was very different to what I was expecting. I've never played Ghouls and Ghosts. I've always avoided it because I remember being told that it's Ghosts and Goblins with the difficulty level turned up to 11 stupid, so I stayed away from it. I mean, that sounds like it was something that was written by one of the Baroque period composers. You know, J.S. Bach had come up with something like that. You know, it would have been, yeah, that sounds very much like him. So that's very different to what I was expecting, and very different to the sort of thing that I'm used to from a 64 game. Yeah, I was really impressed with that.
Yeah, I mean, he's even flung in like shrieky kind of sound effects as well. Really clever.
It absolutely reeks of medieval, doesn't it? It's spot on. I mean, you can never have too much Tim Follin anyway. He's good at what he does. You know, I've recorded a couple of these in the past on the albums. I like his stuff. He's good at the low whispery sounds. I'd call it on the 64.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah.
Black Lamp is another good one that he did. I think that was one of his.
No, fantastic. I just think it's an awesome piece. So, right, I think we're up to number 2. Back to Mr. Lukozer.
Back to me, right? Okay, number 2. This is one that anyone who had a 64 back in the day will know this. This is Jonathan Dunn. It's Platoon. I mean, well, there's not much I can really add to that. Like I say, everyone who had a 64 is familiar with that one. I'm not the biggest fan of Jonathan Dunn. I've got into that in a few videos, so I won't cover that, again this time around. But I can't deny it does belt out some pretty decent tunes. You know, this one I thought is theme in Revenge of Doe was great. Even Operation Wolf, although it's a bit stop-start for my liking, it's still a decent one. But that one, like we were just saying about Ghouls and Ghosts, where the music suits the game, that really does for me suit this the Platoon game. I think really well.
Yeah.
I have to say, I've never seen the film though, so.
I wasn't a fan of the game, but I did. Yeah, I always liked the music.
No, the game was one of those where it was, to use a phrase that's already appeared tonight, style over substance. It looked good. It wasn't that great to play. Actually, I'll tell you, it looked good for the first sort of like couple of levels, and then it rapidly went downhill. So yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the game. It was okay, but it wasn't terrible. But the music was its saving grace.
Yeah.
It's a good tune.
Sorry?
I say it's a good tune. Well, there's no denying that. I quite like some of Jonathan Dunn stuff. I mean, I quite liked Ocean Loader 4 because it was something completely different, and it had a I don't know, kind of music, I suppose. The game loading, it was nice and lively. Actually, that tune there. His name's Ben Hayes. He's not under that in the High Voltage SID collection. He's under Nut 67 or something. I think it's either the Spec Assassins or the Pro Sonics. I can't remember now. But he's done a cover of that called Platoon Tune, which is it's nigh on identical, just a few more sounds in it. That's quite worth a listen as well. If you get a chance.
Yeah, I'll give that a try. Yeah.
What was that again? Chris? You said it was called?
I'll look and make sure, so I don't give you fake information.
Fake news.
No, we don't want no fake news on here. Start talking about how good Spectrums are if we do that.
Well, no, we won't be going that far, no.
Right, in the High Voltage SID collection, under Sonic Assassins, Sonic Graffiti, sorry. Under Sonic Graffiti, you've got a guy called Ben Hayes, or Hayes Ben, and he's done a cover of that called Platoon Tune, but it does sound very similar to the original.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty good.
Excellent tune. Right, sticking with yourself, Panther. It's your number 2.
Right, well, I'm going to go with someone that, much in the same way as Lukozer, couldn't believe that David Whittaker didn't get picked last time. I couldn't believe none of us picked Matt Gray last time. So I am going to go for Central Park from The Last Ninja 2 from 1988. far as I'm concerned, without the use of samples, that is as close as you are going to get to metal on the Commodore 64. And Matt Gray, I don't believe is even a metaler. So, you know.
Yeah.
When the drums and bass start on that straight away you can hear, oh yeah, that's Matt Gray. It's like his signature sound.
Absolutely astonishing. Probably, I mean, it, you know, up there with second is my favourite track tonight. It's, I mean, as I was sitting listening to that, I mean, it's almost like the SID chip was way more advanced than the graphics, and the sound that the C64 could make completely outweighed the little blocky pixely graphics. You know, that track could have quite easily sat on a modern PC Ninja game. It's that epic. You know what I mean? It's almost like the sound is bigger than the game, and that's a compliment to how advanced the SID chip was.
I mean, that's only one of about 13 tracks. I mean, that whole soundtrack is I don't know if it's nearly an hour long if you play all of them, and I mean that sounds, you know, it needed guitars, and they did that. The Fast Loaders did that on the Ninja Musicology, and I'll play it to you two later on. But that is that done by a metal band. It's like, it's wow. It's up there territory. It's really, really good.
All 42.2K of memory for all these tracks put together for Last Ninja 2.
Yeah,
I'm not that familiar with the Last Ninja 2 soundtrack because, well, as you know, I'm not a fan of the first game. The soundtrack's great, but the game itself, no. So I never even bothered looking at Last Ninja 2 or 3. So yeah, that was actually new to me, that one. The only Matt Gray one I'm really familiar with is the Bangkok Nights loader, which again is a bit too stop-start for my taste. Not that I'm saying it's a crap piece of music or anything, but and that's why maybe as soon as the drum and bass started, I thought, okay, I know that sound. That's the Bangkok Loaders drum and bass sound there.
I got to know his work quite well because he was doing his Reformation discs, and when I recorded all of Rob Hubbard's stuff, Chris Abbott said to me, "What about doing Matt Gray a favour and recording this stuff? If you're going to record a load of stuff anyway." I went, "Yeah." I messaged Matt through his fan page and said, "Look, I sent him that a recording of that. I said, look, this is what I can do with SIDs to make them sound stereo. I've just recorded all of Rob's stuff. If you want, I'll do yours as well. I don't want nothing for it." I said, I'm just recording loads of SIDs. It makes no difference to me to do yours. The fact that you've written a load of good tunes is a bonus." And I did it for him, and he gave me a free copy of one of his Reformation albums. He didn't have to do that. I didn't ask for it. And yeah, he's a nice bloke. I met him last year as well. I went up to ask him how what he thought of the stereo recordings of all his stuff that I did. I ended up talking with him and another guy for about half hour about knife crime in London. It's a very surreal conversation. But yeah, I thought he was a lovely fella. You know, I introduced him to my mate Adam, who come up there with me, and he had nothing to sign, so he was going around getting his phone signed. And his three heroes were Rob Hubbard, Jaron Tell, and Matt Gray, and they all signed his phone case. And while we were standing there having a beer later on, he went on to Amazon. And what are you doing? He goes, "I'm ordering a new phone case. I ain't using this one no more." So yeah, he's another someone that I've stumbled into meeting. He's a really nice fella. It's a shame he's not still doing SIDs because I think he probably had a lot more to offer. But I have got a disc called Hubbard Remixed, and he has done a version of the last V8 using real guitars as well as synthesizers. That is stunning as well. I'll play it to you later.
Yeah, that's one I certainly want to hear. Yeah.
Brilliant, epic second choice. So for myself, number 2, sticking with Martin Galway, it is Your Kung Fu. Christ, I didn't realise it lasted so long. I could hear Chris setting his alarm clock for his bed there.
So, what you were saying about you prefer original original music, and 2 of your 5 have been covers.
Is that a comedy something?
That's Jean-Michel Jarre. That's Magnetic Fields Part 4.
Is it? Oh, I didn't realise that. I'm a bloody Jean-Michel Jarre fan. I didn't realise that actually.
Yeah, it's well, I guess as I'm already rabbiting, I think it's a fantastic version of a piece of music that I think's so. The trouble with the Magnetic Fields album is it really is an album of 2 halves. Part 1, I think, is Jarre at its best. I think I would have that in my top 3 of Jarre's pieces of all time. Unfortunately, parts 2, 3, 4 and 5 I can give or take. So it's a fantastic version of a piece of music that I'm so about.
Yeah. That's the first time I've listened to it in its entirety. I thought it was going to last about 3 minutes. I was actually looking at the volume button on my PC and I was just going to kind of slowly fade it out.
That's the first time I've listened to that in its entirety for a long time. Yeah, Galway covers Jarre really well. I knew what he was thinking. I could see him grinning.
Yeah.
Him up there. As soon as he started playing, I thought, he's thinking it's another cover, isn't it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. There you go, but...
He's quality. Martin Galway really did... really could make the SID sound like Jean-Michel Jarre, without any doubt.
Yeah, epic. So that was my number 2. So we're now on to number 1. So back to yourself, Lukozer. Right, so that's us up to our favouriteest ones. So it's back to yourself, Lukozer.
Well,
You're number 1.
I've been doing mine in sort of random order. I wouldn't say that this last one is the best of the lot, but it's one that has really stood out for me for a long time. This is quite an old one. This is going back to 1984. So this is the main theme to a game that I am a fan of, but I do know at least one of us here does not like this game.
If it's me, I'm walking off.
Yes, you, yeah. So this is Paul Clancy, and this is the theme from Alien.
Yeah, I remember buying that game. If I remember rightly, it came in quite a big box. It wasn't.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Yeah, big plastic box. And when that tune kicked in, I remember thinking, what an impressive piece. I mean, it's quite short and it's quite. I suppose what I'm saying, it's simplistic. There's not a lot of like, you know, you can hear there's only probably three. What do you call it? Three things voices getting used, but it really suits the game absolutely perfectly.
Yeah, I mean,
Really nice.
it is a very simple tune, but I mean, we were saying in this video and in the previous one about Martin Galway using a lot of filters. I mean, this one, fucking hell, this is filter overload, this. And this is the one I was referring to back at the start, if you can remember that far back, where I was saying that I had this game, and then when I listened to it on the SID play, it sounds not just slightly different, it does sound quite different to how I remember it. But I mean, if ever there was a piece of music for the 64 that is going to, you know, sound different on individual machines, I think this is it. You know, but I mean, when you consider this was 1984, so this was before, like, you know, the SID things had really sort of taken off. They were starting to emerge. And I was used to things like we were saying last time, you know, opening jingles in things like Gallagher and Pac-Man and that. And then this came along, and I just could not believe what I was listening to. So this was another one where, even though I liked the game, I'd often sit there and just let the theme music sort of like loop about 3 times before I actually started playing it. I just think it sounds amazing. I still think it sounds as incredible today as it did then.
Yeah, definitely. I never played the game. I've still never played the game. But when I was doing the SIDS in Space album, I think that was the third one I did. I've got a little listening gang that listens to them before they're edited and stuff like that. And I've got a friend called Phil Wheatley, and he said to me, "Can you do the Alien music?" And I went, "Well, I don't know, but I'll do it for you." And I'll tell you what, because of the filters on that, and it's going to sound different again when you hear the version. But it's another one that fills the room up with a surround sound, because the more they use the filters and the more stereo it is, the more it comes out from behind you. And, you know, I'm really grateful to Phil for introducing me to that song, because I'd never heard it before until either last year or the year before. I can't remember now, but it was fairly recent. And, yeah, it's great. And it's probably a game I'm going to look at. I don't know how good the game is, or whether the game's rubbish or not.
It's shit. Don't listen to
it's well, I mean, it is definitely not a game that is going to appeal to everybody. I do like it, but I can certainly see why others don't.
It's very basic. I think it's all about atmosphere. I mean, I don't know if it's written in basic, but it's very basic graphics. And I think that.
Oh yeah, graphically it is very, very simple. It's very slow paced. So, you know, if you like your fast action, this is definitely not a game for you. But yeah, I find it does really build up the atmosphere and the tension fantastically well. So that's one of the reasons why I am a fan of it.
Does it play during the game again? Sorry.
I was going to say, it's definitely tense music.
Oh yes, yes. Well,
But
the music doesn't play during the game. It is only on the title page.
So I think that's a shame because that would have really increased the ambience and atmosphere of the game, I would imagine.
I don't know. I think one of the reasons why the atmosphere in the game itself works so well is that most of the time, all you can hear is like the heartbeat of the player you're controlling, and then you hear the sound of something moving from one room to another, and you don't know if it's you or another person or if it is the alien or or what.
Yeah. No, it's a great piece. It's probably the oldest piece I think we've listened to actually.
I think it is, 84.
It's probably, I would guess, I mean, it was one of the first games that I bought, so it was probably really early 84.
I think it could well be. I didn't get it when it first came out. I think it'd been out a little while when I got it, and I think I got it either late 84 or early 85. So yeah, it'd been out a little while.
I think it's probably quite an old one, yeah. Great game. Right, down to yourself, Panther, for your number one.
Right, it's a bit of a long one. It's just shy of 8 minutes, but it's worth every second, I think. Now, this is from 2009. It's from a demo called Artillery, the Artillery demo. And the guy that done this is also a member of the Maniacs and Noise. He's a guy called Gaia Chelter. And he's disappeared off Facebook recently, so I haven't seen him for a while. So if you see this Gaia, I hope you're all right, buddy. It's another one that's not overly complicated, but I think it's got a good melody, good instrumentation, and it is worth listening to the whole 7 minutes and 48 seconds, whatever it is. So over to you, Al.
Let's take it away.
That was 8 minutes. That just flew by. Yeah, I was really impressed with that.
It's a great crack. I mean, Gaia's pretty much a big Maiden fan as well. So, you know, a lot of his lead sounds do sound very guitar orientated. Well, they do to me anyway. I don't know if that's his intent, but that's how it sounds to me. Yeah, he's a great musician. He really is. I mean, I started speaking to him. We were both watching a live Slay Radio broadcast over the Christmas period, and I started talking to him on there. And he's a guy that understands the inside of the SID chip. It's like he sent me a diagram, like you know, a close up of the actual part of the chip, and he was explaining all these sort of bits, and it was like most of it was flying over my head. He was like saying, "Well, I work out the filter because if you see the bit that goes there and that bit that goes into there, he goes, I can work out the sound that's." So he's like a really technical musician, and he knows the chip inside and out. I mean, out of all the people that I've met and spoke to, I've never known anyone to know the actual SID physically as much as Gaia does.
Yeah, way over my understanding, man.
Yeah, nice melodic piece. Really, really impressed with that. Doesn't try to be too clever. It's actually a genuinely nice piece of music.
I don't know if it's just me. There were a couple of times in that, and I thought the main melody part sounded very Galway-esque. Obviously, not with that drum track there. He's got a much better drum sound than Galway ever could, but some parts of that melody just really did sound like Galway to me.
Well, that's certainly no insult, is it?
Exactly, yeah. That is not meant as an insult, that's for sure.
No, fantastic. Right, okay, I think it's just left for me to finish this round this video off, round it off, and it's I think it's the first collaboration that we've actually had, and it's by Rob Hubbard and Ben Douglas. And you'll know the one, it's Auf Wiedersehen Pet. I'm only kidding, Auf Wiedersehen Monty. Actually, I was actually going to see if there was a SID tune for Auf Wiedersehen Pet, and I was going to play that for a laugh.
Why not? I didn't have any graphics. Why would they have a tune?
So yeah, this is Auf Wiedersehen Monty.
Brilliant.
That's an awesome pack. I kind of thought when I was thinking there, when Rob Hubbard, obviously, I think a lot of people think of Rob Hubbard or Monty in the Run as being his finest moment. He had a lot to live up to when they brought out that game. They thought, right, you need to do another cracking sound, and I think that's pretty close to the original, you know, as far as being epic.
I gotta admit, I actually prefer that to the original one.
Monty in the Run, yeah.
Yeah. With that one, you can really hear the two styles together. You can hear Hubbard's and you can hear Dalglish as well. I seem to remember seeing an interview with Ben Dalglish, and it was on YouTube somewhere. I think it was at some show, and he was there with David Whittaker. And he was asked which piece he was most proud of, and I'm pretty sure it was that one. And he said, yeah, it was Auf Wiedersehen Monty, and the reason he liked it so much was because he actually got the chance to use Rob Hubbard's drivers, which he had wanted to get a hold of basically from the moment he first heard him.
That's another classic track. I mean, you're taking the technical wizardry, the musicianship of Rob Hubbard, and you're chucking Ben's bounciness into it. It's a brilliant piece of music.
Yeah. It's a combination that really couldn't fail, you know.
Yeah, well, it's just a shame there weren't more collaborations. Actually, there possibly were, but yeah.
Well, there was last year in October they did Back in Time live in Bergen, and they actually managed to convince Rob Hubbard to get up on stage with the keyboard, and he was playing with the fast loaders. So Rob Hubbard was part of a metal band for half an hour. And he played that and he dedicated it, and he said, like, you know, he was sad that Ben couldn't be there to play it along with them. So he dedicated it to Ben, and they played it live on stage, and it was really rather good. It might even be
quite an emotional moment, I thought. Yeah. Well, listen, guys, that's it. It's a mere 2 hours and 29. In fact, if you hang on for 2 seconds, 2 hours and 30 minutes. Chris and I are used to these things running on a wee bit.
Yeah. Well, at least this time we do have a little bit of editing to do, so we might get it to about 2 minutes 25, you know.
If you take your piss break out of the equation, then that'll reduce it back up on that.
There's nothing wrong with long videos, man. Nothing at all.
So listen, I obviously want to thank you two chaps for joining me once again, and I want to thank everybody that's actually persevered to the very, very end. If you get to the very end of it, just put in the comments jellyfish, so we know you've actually watched it all. I think what to do, guys, is please let us have your comments. Let us know what you think of this video. I know the first one went down really well. If you enjoy this type of video, let us know, and I'm sure I'll encourage the lads to come back again, because I personally really enjoy these collaboration videos. It's great fun. Just even getting to listen to tunes and mutually talk about it. You know what I mean? It's
it's great, mate. I'm happy to do it anytime.
Fantastic. So it's down to you guys. If you want to see us back for a third time, then put your comments down below. And finally, guys, as always, thank you very much for watching. Thank you.